So now that Matt Gaetz has withdrawn his name from consideration to be Attorney General, does that change the odds that the president-elect's other picks have in terms of getting confirmed?
Now take this with a grain of salt. Trump may have gotten some pretty bad news today from CNN's prophetic poll peddler, Harry Enten, who claims the chances of Trump's cabinet nominees getting confirmed are sinking. And I am not a betting man, but the only reason I'm allowing this hope to creep into my now stone-cold heart
Don't give me hope.
is because he's apparently basing this on betting markets, which did correctly predict Trump's unfortunate victory. So, I am slightly willing to hear this out. Of course, with a healthy heaping Thanksgiving portion of skepticism. So what say you, soothsayers?
Harry Enten is back with us. He's been running the numbers on this one. Ahoy, matey.
Oh, excuse me. We're pirates now. Perhaps because we stole the hopes and dreams of ye scallywag Democrats by selling you the same old fool's gold poll analysis from 2016 for the booty of ratings.
You can still, in fact, get Kamala Harris to 270 by giving her North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So again, I don't understand this Democratic panic, Aaron.
Fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice, it's all f***ed anyway, so I'll bite, Harry. Give me that cornucopia of copium so I have something to argue with family about on Thanksgiving.
Literally. Let's start with Defense Secretary.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth.
Yes.
Have his chances changed in the last week?
They absolutely have, based upon that sexual assault allegation. Look at this. The chance that he gets confirmed as defense secretary. A week ago, we were looking at an 82% chance according to the betting markets. Now we're down to just a 54% chance. So those odds have dropped dramatically.
Oh my God, that's it. If only we knew earlier that sexual assault allegations were the silver bullet that would bring down a Fox News enthused predator from getting his hands on power.
I moved on her like a grab him by the
We are saved. Thine pussy shall ne'er be grabbed again.
This is still a little bit north of 50%, but we're basically looking at a 50-50 proposition here. Of course, Matt Gaetz, before he actually stepped back, his chances were well south of 50%. So Hegseth is doing better than Gaetz was, but far worse than he was doing just a week ago, Kate.
Okay, that's not terrible news if true. I mean, performing better than Gaetz isn't hard, unlike Gaetz after looking at Teen Vogue. I mean, the only thing lower than his approval rating is the 17-year-old he paid to sleep with, allegedly. But Hegseth is performing worse after his assault allegations. Maybe this is Trump behind the scenes trying to do that whole protect the women thing.
I want to protect the women of our country. I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
What about some of the other nominations that we're hearing a lot of bellyaching and concern about amongst even the senators who need to potentially confirm them, which would be Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr.?
Yeah, so right now, Hegseth has the worst odds at 54%. But Gabbard and RFK Jr. are not shoo-ins by any stretch of the imagination.
Harry, I hate to tell you how to do your job, man, but I think these things are more like weather predictions. That doesn't mean there's a 70% chance Tulsi Gabbard will be confirmed as the National Intelligence Director. It means a Russian asset will shit on 70% of our national intelligence operation.
Department of National Intelligence. This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer.
Oh, Nikki, it is when the president appointing her is also most of those things.
I like China, and I like President Xi. He's a fierce individual, very fierce. He runs 1.4 billion people with an iron fist. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this. I don't see any reason why it would be.
So the National Intelligence Director, look at this. Gabbard's at 70%, so there's a 30% chance that this could go the other way. Many of the more secure nominations, like Stefanik to be UN ambassador, that's well up into the 90s. How about RFK Jr.? He's standing at 73%, which again is well above 50%, but well south of a sure thing. And Kate, you were asking me before we got on set, has RFK Jr.'s odds gone down? In fact, they have. I was looking at them. They were close to about 90% when his name was first getting floated. So as some of the more controversial stances of RFK, whether they be...
as many in the big names in the medical community are speaking out against him.
Correct. As many of the big names in the medical community have been speaking out against him. His odds have definitely been falling. Again, still north of 50%, but this is far from a sure thing. I would not be surprised if one of these end up going adios amigos.
Well, come on. I mean, that's not a bold prediction. Adios amigos is what RFK Jr. says to his mistress maids when his wife is coming home.
Both of them being confirmed, most likely, but at this particular point, at least one of them not getting confirmed, there's a pretty decent chance of that.
Let's see what another week brings. This is, you're talking about getting confirmed. Then
Yes.
there's the added question and possibility of recess appointments we've been talking so much about. What about this?
Yeah, so the idea would be that maybe if you couldn't get someone confirmed, maybe you could get them through a recess appointment. Trump is trying to been working GOP senators to say, hey, would you be amenable to this? At this particular point, the betting market's not necessarily seeing that as a particularly high possibility, just a 17% chance of yes. The vast majority here saying no. If one of Trump's picks is going to get through, or all of them are going to get through, it's most likely going to be through the traditional process of getting confirmed. Of course, with Donald Trump, we just have to wait and see. Untraditional is the name of the game. But at this particular point, it looks like tradition in the Senate, which, of course, is a body of tradition, is going to win out.
Yeah.
Yes, we should all feel relieved that the Republican Senate will follow the wise words of a black man and do the right thing. Even though the body of tradition is now more like a body of Trump's hand firmly up its literal and figurative rectum.
All right. Stand by to see what another week brings.
Stand by because, a week ago, Matt Gaetz' nomination was still alive and no longer is at this point. We'll see if Gabbard, RFK, and Pete Hegseth's nominations are still alive come a week from now.
All right. I know I've just taken about all the piss out of them I can here, and I hope it was cathartic. It sure was for me. And even if Hegseth is the only one so far that looks like he may suffer the same fate as Gaetz, I can kind of see a sliver of a silver lining here. I don't think that silver lining, as Harry Enten would have us believe, so people will still watch CNN, is that the chances of these nominations getting through is dwindling. I think most of them will get in, and it'll be great for comedy, but horrific in almost every other sense. But one thing that is absolutely certain, and not based on polls or betting markets, but rather the inherent chaotic entropy of the universe and Murphy's Law, is that these appointments will be a disaster. And I know that doesn't feel like a silver lining, but hear me out. The same amount of damage and chaos that these appointments will have on our country, they will also have on Trump's administration. We may have forgotten or blocked from our collective consciousness the chaos of Trump's first term, but despite his new obsession with packing his inner circle with loyalists, this is starting to look conspicuously similar.
What do you think is going to happen once he is actually in power? Because previously he fell out with people so quickly. How stable do you think his top table will be? Like, how many of these people will be there at the end of his term in office? Do you think he's just going to go through people very, very quickly, even before he takes over, and then rapidly after?
I don't think all of them will make it all the way through. This is beginning to feel like the first term chaos all over again, despite the fact he's had 4 years out of power to consider what went wrong first time and to learn the lessons. I just don't see Trump reassessing, though, and apparently we're told he hasn't got a plan B. And one of the biggest tells for me that we could be in store for more chaos is that Susie Wiles, who is named as his chief of staff, and is widely regarded as really highly organized, well-disciplined professional who ran a great campaign for Trump. She's going to be in the White House at his side, but she was on the plane when Trump rejected the short list of all the vetted candidates for Attorney General and alighted upon Matt Gaetz, who was also on the plane, in a really impulsive Trump-like move. So that does not bode well for the second term.
So I believe the takeaway here, and the only shot we have at containing this wildfire, is for Democrats to get their heads out of their asses and start fighting back. Like, fortunately, we saw a little of yesterday, which you can check out here. And it's time for them and those of us who actually care about this country, its people, and our democracy to fight back and organize and take advantage of the chaos to do what the Republicans have been doing for ages and get a cohesive strategy together that we can implement in the background even while we lose on the main front. Face it, the Supreme Court is packed for a reason. So are the circuit courts. The district maps are gerrymandered like Picasso Tetris blocks because Republicans have been implementing minority rule for decades. And if we as progressives and the purported progressives in government don't wake the f*** up and start fighting fire with fire, then what's the point? The country will be burned to the ground anyway. So let's organize locally. Organize for the environment. Support the ACLU. I'll drop links in the description below, but now is not the time to go quietly into that good night. Now's the time to take advantage of the chaos and fight. So check out those links, share your thoughts and resources in those comments down below, drop a like so the message gets out there, and join the resistance by subscribing. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I appreciate you all being here, and I'll see you in the next one.